all in on BOXHAUS. Like, this is it. It's go time. I had 2 people in my 6 a.m. I had like a couple people on my 7, couple people 8, couple people 9. I say all that because when you go all in on something, whether you open up a donut store or a record store or anything like brick and mortar,
record store,
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you got a couple people that show up to buy. It's so hard for 4 months. I went hard for 18 months, to be honest, but the first 4 months I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, remember?
I thought I had cancer. Like, the fear that I had. Think about someone reaching inside the stroller. So as my wife saw the homeless lady walking towards him in the stroller, she had that intuition. It's like something wasn't right. And as she was walking towards him on the sidewalk, Lily turned the stroller, went boom, turned it. She's like, "Don't you fucking grab my baby."
Welcome to the Maestre Mentality Podcast, where I get to interview some of the dopest individuals that I've met through this amazing journey of life. Individuals with the most amazing stories and plenty of lessons to share. Every single person, though, we have one thing in common that has brought us together. We all have a love for boxing. But it's always been bigger than boxing. On that note, let's get into these stories.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the...
The year was 2010. I was training for my first amateur cage fight. I was going to college at Vanguard University, studying psychology while working at the school part-time in order to pay for my training. A friend who I met through the industry asked me if I wanted to teach kids classes at the gym. He managed a gym called LA Boxing. I remember my first class. I got paid $20 an hour and even got a private client set up shortly after. $35 for the session. My mind was blown as the only jobs I've ever had were minimum wage at the school and a valet job while I was in high school. I remember sharing how shocked I was with this manager. He said a couple things to me that day that really stuck with me. He said, "Jeremiah, this is what the industry is willing to pay for our services." He was a boxer and boxing coach as well. They pay the same rate as they do for personal trainers now. Don't be afraid to work hard and make your money. From that short convo, I saw a vision. I dropped out of college and continued to train competitively as I started my coaching journey. That convo helped shape me and my career to what it is now. And that manager, he ended up becoming my best friend, my brother, my best man at my wedding, a constant supporter of everything I do. We've been through so many different chapters: marriage, multiple kids, different businesses, training camps. We fought in the same fight nights together, big wins, huge losses, everything. He's now a father of 2, a husband, a fighter, coach, and the owner of Newport's beach boxing studio, BOXHAUS. Here to share a story. Welcome to the podcast, Maestre Mentality, Andre Huseman.
Yo, what's up? Dude, I almost started crying right there.
Yo, that's the goal. Hey, I put a lot of work into these intros, and ask anybody, and if you look at all the episodes, like, you know, I got a lot of love for everybody I bring on this show, man, because like I said, we, you know, all have crazy stories and all cross paths in different ways, but boxing brought us together. But man, how we got some stories to share.
Yeah.
We probably won't hit everything, but it'll be a good start today, dude.
Yeah, some of the stories we should probably keep to ourselves, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to the audience, like Andre and I, we've gone through so much together, like so many different stages in our lives, from like, we're married with kids now, you know, doing the family thing now, running businesses, being mature. I wouldn't say we're mature. We're always immature. But man, we were like, I was 21 years old. I started hanging out with you. We started going to Vegas together.
Yeah.
You know, gambling together, partying together.
Yeah.
My very first trip to New York was with you. Was that your first trip too?
I had been when I was 9 years old, and I hadn't been back. And so it was great to, you know, I don't remember too much while I was there. I have Polaroid pictures of being there when I was 9, but really it was just a good time to get back at an age where I could appreciate it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that goes to show how far back we went. My very first time I went to New York was with you, and how funny a good friend of yours, Gary Matthews, the baseball player, he took us to dinner that night, and it was at this restaurant called Catch NYC, and I was blown away by New York. He took us to Catch NYC, and small world, the owner of Catch NYC ends up becoming my mentor in business and my older brother when I moved to New York years down the line. Yeah. And I remember that New York trip. You sent me a picture the other day. We went to Brooklyn, Williamsburg, and I ended up, living there with Annie. That's where we're raising Theo at first. What a crazy turnaround.
Oh man, what an incredible time. You mentioned one thing which I just want to touch on. You talked about, a crucial time and what we're doing now. Really, when we met. When I look at it, it's, we didn't meet when we were 7 or 8 years old and, friends until we were about 20. We met at a really crucial young adult age, right? And, I'll be 40 next year. And so, you're talking about 21 years old. You're definitely not 21 anymore. That's for sure. And neither am I. So I think we met at a very crucial time. Young adults, young men, really trying to figure out who we are, what we're trying to become, what the world has to offer, and then following those steps. But along the way, man, falling off to the right, falling off to the left. But I have to give it back to you because you've done such an incredible job, man, over the last 15 years I've known you.
We both have, man. And we're taking everybody along for the ride now. And I'm sure this will be the first of many episodes, sharing our stories. Let's start from the bare bones basics then, right. the beginning with you. Right. I gave a little insight in the intro, but, I would love for you to share your upbringing with everyone, where you were born and how you ended up getting into boxing and managing the gym, LA Boxing.
Yeah. So I was born in Santa Ana. I was born to a single mother. So it was just my mom and I in the beginning. And then met my dad when I was around 7 or so. And then we ended up moving to Anaheim. Mom got married. I was 9 years old. So my stepdad soon became my dad, which is incredible. And then I got to Anaheim. I grew up heavy in sports. My dad was an advocate for sports. So football and baseball. And then when I got to high school, I get involved in track. I was in yearbook. I enjoyed things like that. I was in home ec. I really enjoyed cooking and I really liked it. Right after that, I went right into junior college. I continued to play football and I went to Fullerton Junior College. So, grew up in Orange County per se, Northern Orange County, and went to junior college, played a couple years there, got a little scholarship out to Iowa. I go out there, do what I have to do, get what I need to get done out there. On my way back, I ended up working at 24-Hour Fitness. That's really where I started in the industry, and that was 2006. And when I come back, man, and mind you, I lived in Section 8 housing. I didn't really have little to no money. I was living in Fullerton next to this gang called Tokerstown. And almost every Friday night, there was a park right behind me. You hear like gunshots going off and stuff. And while I was, working at 24-Hour Fitness and living there, I remember my rent for like 1,200 square feet, which is quite a bit now looking back. It was $825 a month, $825 a month, $825 a month. There was potato bugs in these Section 8 housing, and I'm with everybody, man. There's no what am I looking for? There's no racial profiling there, man. It's blacks, yellows, greens, purples, all religion, all ethnicities. We're all there, bunkered in. If you go back, it's still there, man. It kind of looks like a compound. But I had some great experiences there, and I think it helped make me tougher into where I am today. So went to that, and while I was working at 24-Hour Fitness, I was also trying to be a cop. So I applied to all these different departments. I was passing.
You be doing everything, bro.
Yeah, I be trying to do too much sometimes.
Yeah, I remember seeing a photo you posted of you like doing like a flight lesson, like on an airplane, and you posted, "What should I do next? A karate tournament? Become a magician?" Yeah, you be doing everything.
I don't know if that's a Libra in me, but I always wanted to like touch everything. Like I said, even in high school, I just didn't play one sport. It was football, track, baseball. I swam competitively up until I was 12 years old. So being physical has always been a part of my life. The academics wasn't anything I gravitated towards. But a lot of the subjects that I did well in were things that I actually really admired or had a deep interest in.
Yeah.
You know?
So from college,
Yeah.
you started to experience even more humble beginnings.
Yeah.
You know, where you were living and you were working at 24-Hour Fitness.
Yo,
at the
get
time.
this. I was grossing $2,200 a month, and I was taking home about $1,600 a month. My friend at the time, Josh, I'm struggling, man. I got internet, like Time Warner. I got I got a box TV. I saw pictures of where I live. All in, my bills were $1,500 a month. Okay. Had a little credit card, little internet, a little cable, rent. And I took home $1,600, $1,650 if I hit a couple bonuses. I was brand new to 24-Hour Fitness. I was just trying to figure out sales, figure out how to train people. And I remember sitting in my coffee table in my living room, and my buddy's like, dude, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm learned how to steal from Peter to pay Paul. It's like I was running credit cards, but like always making the payments. And it wasn't a good situation. Even the way I got in there was, you had to have had no more. Well, first of all, you can make no more than $24,000 a year to just apply, let alone get accepted. Then you had to show your bank statements. You couldn't have more than $1,500 in your account. And I was like, I got $200. Like, sign me up. And it was a very interesting time for me. It was actually one of the I don't know, man. Looking back, it looked more simple. All I had to do was train. I had no kids. I had no wife. I had no real responsibilities outside of making sure rent was paid and food was on the table,
It was hard back then, and then you have a different level of hard now. It's like choose your what kind of hard you want, but obviously, you made it out of there and started your own business, and is truly doing great things, which we'll get back into later. But so after 24-Hour Fitness, you weren't teaching boxing there. Where did that lead to? 24-Hour Fitness.
So my other buddy was working at LA Fitness, and he's like, "Yo, Dre, you want to work here?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I ain't making no money at this place. So I went over to LA Fitness, absolutely crushed it. And I remember my first weekend, because I really enjoyed sales and I enjoyed personal training, and look what I'm doing now, right? But I just had a knack for like understanding people's needs, and helping them get there. My first weekend there, I sold $18,000 in personal training, and then that's when I just knew I think there might be something here for me. So I'm working there. I get transferred over to Anaheim Hills, and then I get a phone call from, at the time, my friend Joe. His sister gives me a call and says, "Hey, somebody's on the line for you." They call me at LA Fitness, and I grew up with her. Her name's Vanessa Valenzuela. If you're watching this, hi. She links me up with her. I think it was her boyfriend or fiance, maybe her husband then at the time. He gets on the phone. He's like, "Hey, man, I got this gym called LA Boxing. I'm a franchisee. We just opened it up. We've been here. We're in Orange. We've been here a few months. And I don't know, things just aren't popping off. I think there's way more that can be done here." And for me, I've always been very like, can I curse on here or no? I don't know. It's up to you, whatever. I was like, I was like, man, fuck it.
On my show, of course, bro.
Yeah, I was like, man, fuck it. I was like, man, fuck it. I'll try it. What's up? And he's like, "Well, I have an opportunity for you." I was like, well, in my head, I'm not making any money here, but I said, hey, if the comp plan can kind of match or do better than where I'm at, then I'll try it. So I went down there, and I took the position as a GM. And then while I was like selling memberships, right, in any gym, I was like, well, I should probably learn what the hell I'm selling, right? And I'm 185 pounds. When I got done with college football, I came back, and I was still looking for like that playing in front of a couple thousand people. I was still looking for that rush and that contact. And so I was playing a thing called Top Gun flag football, and it just wasn't fulfilling anything. I'm like, bro, I'm used to helmet, the full bit, and I'm over here. I'm people in the stands. I just got my girlfriend here hanging out. I'm like, whatever. And so I took a boxing class, and I'm probably like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, I want to do this. I want to learn how to fight. Okay, this is it. And I remember one of the instructors, he was walking by, and I looked down, I'm like, dude, I want to do this. I want to learn how to box. And essentially, I'm his boss at the time, and I'm only there for a week. And I'm like, yo, dude, I want to like do this. And I remember him like, he kind of gave me this smirk, and I totally get it now. So here's how it goes. I'm hitting the bag. He's walking by, and I'm like, dude, I want to do this. I want to learn how to fight. I want to learn how to box. I want to get. And he did this. He's like, just kind of like, just keep hitting the bag, bro. And I'm like, this guy's kind of blowing me off. Now, 16 years later,
know my true potential.
He doesn't know that I'm about this life. But I get it now, because 16 years in the game, and you can contest to this too. How many fucking people have gone up to you and said, I want to fight, and then they don't. Yeah. It's less than 1% of people at, fitness, boxing, even traditional gyms that actually fight. 1% less. And so now looking back, I'm like, now I can see why he kind of blew me off, because I sort of do the same thing now too. I get some people that are hyped up. It's their second class. Endorphins are up. You're hitting the bag as hard as you can. No one can see me. I've been in a bunch of street fights, blah, 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 blah. And I want to fight. And, that doesn't typically happen. And so I get why he blew me off. But, fast forward, I'm selling memberships. I'm learning boxing. And then I started training with Mary. And Mary knows who she is, Mary Duran, the firecracker. And she was a professional. And at the time she was retired. She still is. I think she was newly retired. And then I just started following her around the gym that I was managing, because I hired her to teach classes. And I just started moving around the ring with her. And, I'm 185 pounds. I'm used to burst. I'm just used to that football type of mentality, which is way different. And so, I can get into that later, but it definitely changed my perspective being around that boxing gym, and my weight was starting to drop, and I didn't really understand weight classes. I loved watching like De La Hoya, Mike Tyson, Fernando Vargas. I kind of grew up in that Shane Mosley era of boxing, Ricardo Mayorga, Morales, Barrera, which was an incredible era of boxing. But I didn't really understand the weight classes so much, Even when you look at, if you look at Rocky IV, when he fights a Russian, think about it for 1 second. You know that Rocky's 160 pounds and Dolph Lundgren's a heavyweight. He's like 225, doesn't even but at the time you don't care. You just want to see two people go at it, So,
well, that's kind of even the first UFCs you see, and it's like that, Tiny Hoist Gracie, going up against these crazy wrestlers and stuff. It's the funniest thing.
Right.
It's back in the day, there were no really true weight classes. Not as strict as they are now.
There wasn't. So I mean that's how I got started in this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
To recap that, okay, so out of college, Section 8 housing, trying to figure out a way to pay your bills. Start at 24-hour fitness, then to LA Fitness. Then you get hit up to sell and manage LA Boxing. And something you mentioned about sales and everything, it's like, I remember when you were managing the LA Boxing that you asked me to work at, and you were really into sales, and not so much as like a salesman, as in somebody
like
that
a dirty
wants
car salesman.
Yeah, that wants to trick you into something. You were really passionate about what you were selling. I remember even you would be on YouTube in between the breaks, and you would show me these videos on really good salesmen, and
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you would show me clips of a boiler room. You were showing me clips of that, and how hyped you were to get the gym, and I think they created a good business culture at those LA Boxings in the early stages, because they really made us hustle, and in turn our hustle led to better lifestyles for us because we were making more money, but they really motivated us to hustle and to get after it, and they gave us the platform to do so. And LA Boxing is the first gym out there that really meshed. Shout out to Sean McCulley, that really meshed fitness and boxing, because you had competitive fighters, whether they were retired or actively competing like ourselves, teaching classes in there, running the actual business. And we'll get into even this later. The old owner of LA Boxing, Anthony Geiser, ended up purchasing Rumble Boxing during the pandemic, but it was a full circle thing. And we've been there since the beginning of that. That was crazy, bro.
Yeah. It was a great time for me. It's a time that I always sort of lean on when I just look back at part of my history and how I got started in this industry. It was such a huge chunk of who I am came from working for that franchise.
Yeah, it's shaped. It was like the foundation of what we were going to do later, which pulled up my questions right here. Led to the next question. So LA Boxing, then you go we both leave LA Boxing, actually, go off doing our own things. We rent out space out of a local boxing gym down the street and start just trying to build our own brands, build our own client. We even did a boot camp together. And
I want to talk about that because, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to talk about the LA Boxing and you and I leaving. But even prior to you and I leaving, you and I were driving around looking for our own spot. Do you remember that? We found a couple of different spots. We had looked at some different stuff. You had some great contacts. So did I. We had a pretty decent network back then. And I can expand on our network later down the road. But I remember we were in that corporate mindset where we were starting to become a little bit more and wanted a little bit more out of our lives and a different lifestyle. And I think we were around those people who had an elevated lifestyle. And as you know, if you really want to get to somewhere, sometimes you have to go independent. Sometimes you have to go on your own. So kudos to you before you even try to give me credit, because you found American Gym. I never heard of it. It was around the street, around the corner from us. And you said, Dre, I think I have a spot. Owner's awesome. He's cool. Shout out to Brian Hood for always being just a fucking real one. Brian Hood. He's an incredible guy, humble, and he's just a good human being. So shout out to Brian Hood. But he welcomed you. I remember he went there for a couple of weeks first. And like 2 weeks later, I was like, yo, man, I'm out of here. I want to follow up and build my clientele. Yeah.
We always wanted more, right? And for me, I think this is the immigrant mentality in me that my parents raised me in. Yeah. It just give me the platform. Just give me the shot. Give me a place to do it. And I'm going to take that to the moon. Yeah. And with that local gym, they're like, all you got to do is pay rent and you can train as many people as you want. Run your own business here. And I was like, done. Yeah. And I went from like, and let me backtrack a little bit. The main reason why I left LA Boxing, and so the audience understands the timeline a little better. LA Boxing ended up getting acquired by UFC Gym. So they were corporate at the time, but they went extra corporate once the reins were handed over to a bigger corporate company. And I remember one of the district managers, I believe, came in there and was like, or even a new guy came in there from the corporate side of things. And he was like, hey, Jeremiah, like, what kind of certifications do you have? And keep in mind, I was just coaching boxing at the time. So I was teaching kids boxing for the most part, maybe training a parent here and there, teaching cardio boxing classes. He said, well, what certifications do you have? And I didn't have any certifications other than, me actually training and fighting and sharing my experiences with others. And he says, okay, well, because you don't have the standard fitness certification, we're going to have to pay you $20 a class. We're going to have to drop that down to like $13 a class. And I said, dude, you cannot value what I'm giving these people. I put my life on the line to learn what I know. If anything, you pay me more. And I was like, that's fine. And I stepped away and I was like, someone just give me a platform to excel. And I did, and then you followed shortly followed after, and I think that's when we experienced the most substantial growth. Is when we went off and did our own things.
I agree with you 100%. We decided to balance. We did that. And then at that time, this is 2013. And when you think about 2013, which is about almost 10 years ago, Instagram was becoming kind of Instagram.
Barely getting
Barely. Yeah. And you and I were doing our thing. We're posting some videos, and they didn't have stories then. Like, we were doing our thing. I think at the most you could post was like a 15-second video. We hired Steve to do some of our videos. And this is no cap. Like, we're from one of the first ones in terms of boxing anyways, because I could go way back of when I posted these videos, and same for you, of when we were posting these 15-second videos. Steve charges way more now, but they were $150 for a 15-minute video. And that's what we did. I think we like sort of doubled down our Instagram. And look, I don't have 40 million followers. I don't have 30 million, let alone, but
it led to what you're doing now, and
100%,
to that one person, which that led you to that person that you opened up your business with. BOXHAUS, and BOXHAUS is globally known now. And my next question, you went from the Section 8 housing to running your own business. You own a successful boxing studio in Newport Beach. BOXHAUS is a staple in the community with a great supportive following. You share boxing with all walks of life, doctors, lawyers, CEOs, people that work in finance. You know, you see some of the OC housewives in there, celebrities and all. How did you find yourself there from the traditional boxing scene to the complete opposite now? Like, you go from like sharing it to our neighborhoods and communities, but you're working with all these fighters, but now you're in the heart of Newport Beach.
You know, I think too, to backtrack a little bit, you know, while I was there at American and going independent, I was thinking in my head, you know, because I wanted to make more money, but I also want to be around people that were going to inspire me. And my thought process, while I started doing personal development, reading books, looking inward, and then reading about people who are successful as well. And you are who you hang around with. One of the golden rules of like life, right? It's like you truly are who you hang around with. And the same goes with who you do business with. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, all right, who do CEOs, high net worth individuals, entrepreneurs, executives, the list goes on. Who do these people hang out with? Well, CEOs, entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals hang out with CEOs, entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals. Birds of a feather, for sure. So I said, well, if I start training these individuals, if I start training private equity guys, if I start training VC, venture capitalist guys, if I start training their kids, their wives, so on and so forth, forget the money. That's going to come. But I'm going to be surrounding myself with people who move differently, think differently, and definitely do business differently. And so that was sort of my first step. And then that ended up, like, you were there for that at American Gym. And then the level of people which I was training, and this is no offense to anybody else I trained that was just kind of a regular or whatever, but like, I knew I wanted something a little bit more in my life. And so I said, okay. So I started training these individuals, and then getting to BOXHAUS, my network, as it was peaking sort of for where I was doing, just transferred over to BOXHAUS Newport Beach. And I was already training a couple house moms that were on TV and some influential women that were on social fronts and had great followings and things like that. But we're also, you know, philanthropists and so on and so forth. So not just, you know, pretty women, train women who are actually really doing things in the community, doing things for the country, doing things for humanity, which is, I thought, empowering, because I wanted to get to that at one point. So we opened up BOXHAUS, and BOXHAUS day one, the first day I opened it, I remember I taught 6 a.m., 6, 7, 8, 9. I taught 4 classes on Monday. It's February. And I could see online, just like you can see when you're going to teach a class, like how many people are in your classes. And I'm like, all right. The night before, I was like, dude, mind you, I'm all in on BOXHAUS. Like, this is it. It's go time. I had 2 people in my 6 a.m. I had like a couple people on my 7, couple people 8, couple people 9. I say all that because when you go all in on something, whether you open up a donut store or a record store or anything like brick and mortar,
record store,
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you got a couple people that show up to buy.
Yeah. And then but you know what? I got to credit that, because it's like, okay, you opened up a business, you went all in on it.
Yeah.
And you got 2 people show up on the first day, but like, yo, you lived in Section 8 housing with freaking potato bugs. Literally. This is nothing.
I got this. So, you know, and then I'm like, all right, it's going to happen. And, between my business partner and myself, our network, and then what we had put together and how much hype, at least we did on social media, or at least in my head, I would say about day 10 or 11, we went absolutely viral. And I mean, everything on our merchandise area cleaned out, looked like we were closing. We had to hit up our guy who was doing our closing at the time. He couldn't even keep up with, he's like, oh shit, I was like, dude, neither did we, but we need more sweatshirts, we needed all that stuff. And so, fast forward, things just popped off for us, and in a good way.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the tough beginnings, which we were kind of reflecting back, like, they were tough, but we kind of missed them. Yeah. It helped you handle the shit you had to handle then. And look, 10 days of hustle, what? 10 days you went even all out, even more, and it was popping off like that. Yeah.
I remember I went so hard for 4 months. I went hard for 18 months, to be honest, but the first 4 months I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember.
I thought I had cancer.
Yo, I remember you were going so hard.
I lost weight. I didn't care. I was like, I'm here to work.
Did you tear something too, like in your stomach or something?
Yeah, I thought I tore something in my stomach, and I remember I went to the emergency room, and they plugged me up, did all the tests. The guy comes back and says, "Dude, your white blood cell count's good, red blood count." They do the whole blood work, put me on IV stuff, and I'm like, he's like, "Dude, I don't know what's going on." I'm like, "Dude, I think there's something wrong with me." I go home, they release me, give me some fluids, IV bag. 2 days later, on my wife's birthday, or the day after, I said, "I'm going back to the hospital. Something's fucking wrong with me. I don't feel good." And I remember we go back in the hospital. I went to do these tests, do this test. Everything came back negative. Another IV bag. And I'm like, dude, something's fucking wrong with me. Tell the doctor. I'm like, dude, there's something inside of me and it doesn't feel right. Like, I feel like an alien was inside me.
Yeah.
And then I remember he looks at my wife. He's like, "Is your husband stressed out?" She's like, "Well, yeah, he just opened up a business." And he's like, "Man, have a couple of Tylenol, bro. Take a vacation, bro." So that's what stress can do to you. I'll tell you that. But
my gosh. Well, I love the business, man. I love taking classes there, and I love the people that work there. What's the future of BOXHAUS now? What do you want to do with it? Because pandemic, like it did even for me and the businesses I were working for, it threw a wrench into everything and challenged us a little bit more, and we had to pivot and change up what we were doing. What's the future now?
That word pivot has been used and abused, but I'll use it one more time. We had to pivot, right? Everyone's gone online, everyone's streaming, everyone's uploading.
Now everyone's back to working out in person. Like, what do y'all want?
Yeah, man, I don't know what you guys want from me.
Just tell us.
Yeah, for sure. But Newport Beach is just such a staple center. It's just what a beacon of hope it's been for a lot of people, and especially for myself. So what we've decided to do, and it's something that I've wanted to do since the beginning, since day one, but things have to align, and I think we got derailed a few times due to the pandemic, and then just personal stuff that it led us down this next road. So this next path, we are going to be franchising. So
let's go.
I can say this much. There's some legalities behind it, how much I can say, but I can say we're in the process of franchising, pretty far along. And because our brand has reached quite a bit of people around the country, just in terms of notoriety and the amount of not just local, but national press we've had, and the list goes on. And I don't think anybody's really doing it the way that we're doing it. And that's not to sound like we're doing it better and different. I just think we're doing it in a way that just, we haven't done it. No one's done it at scale. I think there's a few companies that have tried, as you know, and then just didn't get there for whatever reason. But I got the right people in place. I have the right business partners. I have the right team, and everything is starting to line up despite all the bullshit I've been through over the last couple of years due to COVID.
Yeah, that was
and in my personal life too, so all that stuff. So we're going the franchise route to sort of, long story short, the short answer is yes, there's a future for us, and looking to get to, on a national level and grow to 300 locations. It's a wild number, but shit, what else am I going to do,
I mean, look, like I said, the foundation you started from has helped shape you to overcome tough shit, and why not? Why not 500? Why not, 1,000? Sky's the limit. You just got to keep putting in that work towards it. And the hustle is nothing foreign to you. I mean, you went to the hospital because you were grinding so much.
Yeah, man. Entrepreneurship is outside of raising kids, because that's beautiful and it's really hard too at the same time. But entrepreneurship is by far the hardest thing I've ever, tried to do.
These three things, and you tell me which one's the hardest. Boxing at a high level.
Yeah.
Competitively.
Yeah.
Full-time.
Yeah.
Full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Trying to hustle and make something of a business.
Yeah.
Or being a parent. What's the hardest out of the three?
Oh, the easiest stuff, being a parent.
Oh yeah.
For me, because it's
same.
because I know the ramifications of being in a fight or losing a fight or not getting to the top or not competing at your best. I also know the ramifications of not doing well as an entrepreneur, but I get a restart. The unfortunate part about being, an insufficient parent or not being a loving parent, the blowback, we've seen it, it ripples, you know, and how
crazy.
you manage your kids, how you love your kids. You know, if I'm talking 20 years from now, the business is the business. Who cares? Not boxing, no one's going to give a shit. But my kids and how they treat people and how they look at me and they look at their mom and their grandma and their uncles, that for me is hard. And it becomes even harder for a parent. The more you want the best for your kids and the more you love them, the harder it is. So I hear some parents, oh, it's easy. Then you ain't present. You ain't really doing it, bro.
Yeah.
Anything I've ever given anything to is hard.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, let me ask you this. Did you understand the gravity of being a parent and the ramifications of being a parent before you had it? Like the pregnancy stage?
No.
Did you expect this?
No, and I'll touch on that later about the pregnancy stuff. We've talked about what I'm going to get done here, but that pregnancy stuff, you know, clearly I didn't get pregnant, but I was, help with the process. But you know, when having the wife pregnant, they go through the different stages, and sometimes they're textbook, right? Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, they get the mood swings, the throwing up, the morning sickness, and then some women, they don't get that. So, and then sometimes you get a little bit. And so my wife sort of experienced some of the, you know, traditional symptoms, right? And then of course she didn't, towards the end, they don't want to be pregnant. You know, my wife's been pregnant. We've had 2 kids now. And so you get on that tail end, that last 4-6 weeks, man, they're over it.
Yeah.
You know, she definitely wasn't one of the moms that was like, oh my God, I love being pregnant. Oh my God.
And then the baby's here and you're like, damn, what did I do?
Damn, when my daughter was born, I freaking lost it. I was like, the amount of emotions is I'm glad I can't describe it, because if I could, it wouldn't be worth it. I can't even put it into words, man.
And look at us, man. Like, so we're boxers. We've, you know, been through hard physical challenges, even, you know, you could say hard emotional and mental and spiritual challenges, running our businesses and going through life.
Yeah.
But like nothing has challenged you and I like fatherhood. Nothing. Nothing has brought me down so many times than being a father. You know, it challenges us. It challenges our marriages. It's, you know, it goes into my third question. So we get to start to learn the more personal side of you and that other side. You know, changing gears towards that. You have a beautiful family, brother. Like gorgeous wife. 2 amazing kids. I want the audience to know this story. I remember you had a scary incident happen to your wife, Leanna, and your daughter. They were attacked on a walk. And this is Orange County, yo. You know, share with us what happened and the aftermath of that. Like what it did to you mentally, and how did you use that incident to kind of move forward and shape you for the better?
Yeah, so it was a few years back. My daughter was still a baby, doing the whole in the stroller and stuff. And I was at work. I was finishing with a client. And then her and grandma, they went on a walk. This is in Tustin, nice area, you know, affluent area, Target's there. It's just nice. Yeah. They went for a walk, and I get a phone call. My Lily, my wife, was just like, bah, on the phone. And I was like, what the hell happened? She's like, some homeless lady try to rip Elena out of the stroller. And I was like, what? And, you know, I fucking got in my car, bro. And I was like, I don't care. I'll run every red light, you know? So got in my car. I bounced. I drove straight to home, which normally took me about 15 minutes. I probably got there in 6. Parked the car. I'm on the phone, and I'm running. I see the lady that, oh, wow, she's still on the street. And then my wife's like, that's her. And I kind of see her, and I'm fucking dead sprinting. Cause that, you know, for me at this point, I'm just like, you're getting fucked up. Yeah. I'm putting hands on you. You try to abduct my daughter. That's how I see it. I'm like, you're trying to rip, you're going to take my daughter. And I'm like, I don't know any better. You're catching these hands. And for me, it might be a little worth it. I'm going to lawyer her up, and we're going to figure it out, but you're going to feel what I feel right now. Yeah. And so I was sprinting down there, and then I see this cop car come this way. So I'm on this side of the street running, but he can't pull in because there's a center divider. So he's got to go past me and then come back around. And I'm like, no, I want to get there before he gets there, because I just want to light this lady up. And I'm running. He pulls in right next to me, comes out, and he gets out. he basically knows I'm the dad because I'm in a dead sprint.
Yeah.
And he goes, whoa, 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 chill, chill. I was like, and that lady looked at me. She was on the sidewalk. And at this point, I could tell she had some mental issues, probably quite a bit. Obviously, you're trying to rip a baby out of a fucking stroller. She looks at me. She goes with big old eyes. She's like, that's my baby. And I was like,
oh my God.
No, I didn't swing on her. But, the cop was there. We talked about what I could do. And, of course, I want to press charges. They put a halfway house down the street. And ever since that happened, there was more homeless people in the area, which is sort of a big deal, what we're dealing with here in California. But, I said, hey, she needs to get prosecuted and I want to press charges. And, she was out in like 60 days. I mean,
crazy.
But just the experience is what we're talking about. It's like the fear that I had. Think about someone reaching inside the stroller. So as my wife saw the homeless lady walking towards them in the stroller, she had that intuition, say something wasn't right. And as she was walking towards them on the sidewalk, Lily turned the stroller, went boom, turned it. She's like, don't you fucking grab my baby. And she like reached into the stroller. Bro, think about a homeless person's hands. The nails are all fucking dirty, long, like almost went to like scratch my daughter's face. And so that's the initial, we're like, oh shit. So I remember my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, they were at the house, which is down the street from us. So they were right there. They came, took my daughter, they gave her a bath, washed her up. Just, you don't know what they have, they're homeless people. They're on a lot of feces and shit. And so while I was talking to the cop, went through that process. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of emotion going on. I was training a little bit in tactical training, shooting, CQB training. And then, through my mentor and stuff. But because of that incident, I wanted to train a little bit more. I wanted to be prepared readiness. How can I be prepared when I'm off guard, but still be able to make something happen? And with what's happening today, not just in the United States, but just as a whole, man, there's a lot of dangerous people out there. And we're seeing that more because of social, which is great. There's always been bad people. There'll always be evil people. But we're seeing a lot of these things happen right now. And so for me, as a protector, as a father, as a leader of my tribe at home, I'm trying to be that, I'm trying to be an alpha, a male, a provider, a protector. All the while, I'm trying to be this samurai, which is someone, I can go out there and if someone's trying to hurt my family and handle business if I have to. At the same time, 20 minutes later, you'll find me in the kitchen finger painting with my daughter. Like, I can do both. I want to do both. You need both.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, you gotta protect your family, man, and that is scary, bro. You're at work, your wife is walking baby daughter down the street, and someone tries to abduct her, and then you go and confront this person, and she looks you dead in the eye and says, "That's mine."
I was like, dude.
Oh my gosh, man!
I know, man.
And I've never been really like had that desire for tactical training, but honestly, like. Until an incident like this happens, that's when it really pushes you. And then, we had not a similar incident, but an incident happened to my wife and I
remember
where we were on the road and some guy swerved into us, slowed down and pointed his gun at us and then drove off. Road rage. I don't know the reasons from it, but and look, I don't think tactical training may have helped me in there to where we're going to have a gunfight on the road.
Right.
But it's better to know how to defend yourself. It's better to be in uncomfortable situations through training. That way, when you're put in those situations, you know what to do. Like if I had been training, maybe I would have known to swerve away from somebody driving on crazy like that on the road and to evade properly and then hold my own. And I think it's a definite need for all fathers out there that are there to protect and protect their family. Yes, protect and serve your communities, but you got to be able to hold it down at home too.
Yeah.
And again, that's why understanding how to throw these hands and be defensive of yourself in these things. It's crazy, man. I work in LA a few times a week and it's a wild west there. You know, we lived in New York too. It's like, you got to understand how to protect yourself. And then when you become a father and a parent, you need to understand how to protect your family. Like they look to you for that.
You know, the more understanding and the more training you have, whether it's combat, physical, boxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, the more you have it, I don't have the need to want to do that when I go out. That's not my MO. If I want to go, if I feel like I need to really hit something, or I'll call one of my friends, I'll call you, hey man, can we get some sparring in? That'll get the edge off. So I don't have that sense. And then it's the same for, you know, tactical training. I enjoy getting out there, firing my pistol and hanging out with, you know, some tier 1 guys, some Delta Force guys, Navy SEAL guys, Rangers, all those guys that are incredible at what they do, and anyone who really served in the military. I like doing that training because the more knowledge that I have, the less likely I am to use that for it, because I know there's other ways of getting the job done without, you know, lethal force. And again, this is one man's view. This is my opinion, of course, of how I sort of view things. But because of the instances I've had, I'm sort of forced to feel that way and think that way. It's like,
yeah, and it's better to know than to not know.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that plain and simple as that. Better, whether you believe in it, you're passionate about tactical training, it's better to know than to not know. And credit to you too. Like, kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, how you always want to be surrounded with the top tier at what they do. Like when they came to your clients, you seeked out training, you know, high net worth individuals, people high up in the community, even down to your tactical training.
Right.
I'm not just going to go to the gun range and figure it out by myself looking at YouTube videos. I'm going to go train with Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
I'm going to go train like you've done some pretty extensive training. I remember, share with this. Actually, I don't even know if you could share with this because this was pretty classified stuff, but you went to like Memphis or something for some training. Like, could you share some of that?
Yeah, I went to this offsite training. I landed in Memphis. About as much as I can say about that, but I landed in Memphis and I do almost like a week training course I'm with the SEAL teams. So I'm in the barracks. You know, I'm living there, eating chow with them for a few days. Wake up early. We get our training in. I mean, I don't know how many freaking rounds we put down range, but tons and tons of training. The biggest thing was I was surrounded by the best of the best. So these Navy SEALs are on different teams. They could be on SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 9, 8, whatever. They're a bunch of different dudes. And then a Delta Force guy too as well. We had an on-site paramedic, trauma guy. We had on-site video camera guy. We had some really fucking cool shit. And I was driving the Jeep. I let off a charger. I mean, I was clearing homes, clearing rooms, clearing buildings. We did a lot of CQB training, which is incredible. And then watching these individuals clear a building. I mean, the amount of training, I mean, this is the best of the best. So it would be like watching a Beethoven. It would be like, it was so beautifully put together, and the way they manipulate themselves through the room with silence, precision. I mean, absolutely fucking flawless. And I'm not hyping these guys up. They need no hype. They move in silence. You never hear about them. You never see about them. But to be around these individuals, I also want to say this. They're some of the most, if not highly evolved human beings, switched on people I've ever met in my fucking life. If they weren't Navy SEALs, if they weren't Delta Force, like tier 1 guys, they're executives. A lot of these guys have bachelor's, master's degrees, PhDs, really switched on dudes, and understand the rules of engagement, understand one another, and they speak to each other. I'll say this lastly. They speak to each other without words while moving. They use their fucking pistols and their rifles to talk to one another. If these dudes knocked on your door, Jer, if you heard the knock on the door, you're already done.
That's it.
You're already done.
That's it.
Yeah.
I want to go back to how you're talking about how the, you know, high level individuals, not just in their tactical training. And that goes to show, like, even a lot of you, if you scroll down the For You page and get a lot of the motivational stuff, it's a lot of you know, these tactical guys talking about their ways of life. And that's something I highly covet and seek out. These guys get up early because they understand that they're really good at what they do. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think because they have constantly on the daily put themselves in these uncomfortable situations and train.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that attracted both of us into that kind of training because of boxing too.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
How, I mean, that taking it back to boxing now, like how similar are the two? It's like boxing, like understanding your foundations and your fundamentals. I remember when you took me to the range and you're like, all right, let's get our dry firing. And this is like shadow boxing, shadow boxing, right? Yep. It's so similar. That's why tactical training, boxing training, it's so,
there's a lot of
similarities in both, but similarities in the way you should be living life.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of metaphors and analogies in both the tactical training and the boxing space. The cross-pollination between both it's unparalleled because just like you said right now, shadow boxing is sort of like their dry firing. And for the people who are watching, dry firing is basically shooting at a paper, whatever, and just clicks. No ammo, right? No bullets in the chamber. You're not sending anything down range. You're just going through the motions of, you know, pulling your pistol out, getting on target, getting your front sight aligned and everything dialed in. And then the actual act of pressing and pulling the trigger. It's like boxing, the act of putting your hands up, turning that hand over on the very end. Boom. That is the pulling of the trigger. Boom. Right. So there was a lot of things that transferred over, but the way they live their life is very similar in many ways. And it's the amount of dedication you have to your craft. It's like boxing in the sense that, dude, I could not ever throw a one punch shadow box for 10 years straight. And I could get in a street fight at a gas station. And these guys won't fail me. They'll still be a good remnants of like, hands, like I still got it. It's the same for these individuals who've done it for so long. Maybe not to put, you know, some rounds down range, but give them a pistol and watch them get on target like that. It's just, you know, it's a perishable skill in some sense, but not really.
And what's, you know, tactical training, you know, boxing, crossing into tactical training, what has tactical training taught you about life? Like, has it helped you become a better father? Obviously understanding how to protect your family more, but give me more of the lessons it's given you. Like, man, I mean, discipline has to be one of them, right?
Yeah, discipline too. The biggest thing is you don't know what you don't know. And I think a lot of people have the notion of, oh, here's a gun, here's a pistol, here's bullets. I send it down range. And it's like, dude, that's not how it goes down. There's a process. There's a due process, much like fighting and then much like life. And so you can't just go charging life with fucking no condom, man. You need to, you know what I mean? You need to practice. You need to put the time in, and the amount of time and efficiency that these men put behind it. And not just the Navy SEALs, anyone that's in the military, law enforcement, these people have a lot of experience. For me, the discipline of slowing down, because keep in mind, I've never done tactical training up until 7 years ago when I started. And my point is, because I had never done it, everything I knew about boxing, which I think I'm pretty decent, I had to slow down. I'm back to square one. I'm the new guy in the gym now, you know? So like, I'm using obviously analogies. I'm using my jab now. I'm learning what a jab is. What I mean is like just pulling my pistol out and presenting it is the jab, you know what I mean? In my opinion. And so the discipline, take my ego, put it aside, put the John Wick shit that you think you know. Yeah, right. Get it out of here. There's no room for it. The Mayweather shit you think you know, it's your first day in the gym, get that shit out of here.
That's how you relate the two. So those are everyone listening that's like watches boxing or watches tactical training, like the competition shooting and the fancy is equivalent to like the fancy mitt work almost.
The John Wick shit you see is the Mayweather on the mitts. Like, first of all, you don't even know what he's doing and the nuances of boxing. And then you see John Wick, you don't even know the 7 things that had to happen before he even pulled that trigger. And so, and I'm not even speaking from a tactical guy, so I don't want to even put that out there. I'm a dad. I'm a businessman who trains that way, and I enjoy training with those individuals. And I am still learning. So I just want to you know?
Yeah, I mean, it all bleeds it into. There's so many lessons to take from this conversation. As first and foremost is like the foundation you started with, and kind of recapping everything. The foundation you started with, Section 8 housing, primed you to when you started your own business and confronted your first challenge of 2 people showing up on day 1. You're like, this ain't nothing. I was sleeping with bugs before. Like, I can make this happen.
Yeah.
And then that bled into like everything else that you did, from business to becoming a father, and which we talked about is the hardest out of everything. Boxing, business. No, parenting is the hardest thing we've ever done. And then another challenge in parenting, your daughter almost gets abducted. It's like, what do you got to do to protect your family?
Yeah.
And then the training you're doing the to protect your family, you're putting a lot of dedication into it, just like you do boxing. It's everything leads into everything. You know,
I do want to say this. What started off as, you know, wanting to learn more about, you know, guns and ammo and rifles and protecting my family really quickly turned into a really awesome interest of mine. So I want to make note of that. What turned it into like, hey man, I need to learn this shit because like, in case World War III breaks out, you know, let's forget about that. It really transitioned into, man, I really like this sport, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at shooting altogether, number one reason why people pick up ammunition, it's sport shooting and home defense. And then third would be local law enforcement, right? They're picking up a bunch of ammo. But sport training, which I love shooting, and then really the home defense thing. So that mindset's kind of shifted, and that all shifted through the training because I became more aware of like what shooting is, what training really is. I'm no longer on the offense, like, oh, I want a gun, like I need to learn how. It's like, nah, man. That's like last worst case scenario. I got these guys first, right? If I can't handle it, you know. Yeah. So I just want to make note that now it's a really awesome hobby and interest of mine that I'm really enjoying. It's an expensive fucking hobby. So.
And I mean, it's so similar again to combat training. You see so many fighters, whether they're MMA fighters, boxers, they get into it, and because it's very similar. Yeah, you know, what do you like better now? Boxing or tactical training?
Man, I like tactical. I mean, boxing's my home base. It's my whenever I feel like I'm getting a little chubby, you put a little weight. All right, hit the bag. It's like it's my day one, man. It's my go-to. So for some people it's yoga, for some people it's Pilates, it's spinning. For me, it's boxing. I think probably for you too. Secondary is probably like hitting weights and weight training and strength training and stuff like that. So tactical training has really. It's right up there with boxing, but different. I don't know. Yeah. Because I'm not trying to make a lifestyle or income off it. Boxing literally changed my life.
Boxing is also bleeds into your business too. Yeah. So you're burnt out from your own personal boxing training. Yeah. But then your workflow too is boxing. So you could run to tactical training to kind of take your mind off of things, and it truly becomes a passion and a hobby of yours.
That's a good point. That's what it's escapism for me.
Yeah.
So I can leave the boxing. I can leave the boxing work and the boxing business and just say, hey, that's just what I love doing, man. It's fun.
Yeah. And again, it has that connection to boxing still too.
Yeah. For sure.
It is combative, but the lessons it teaches, you know. So this is my last question to wrap things up. What has boxing taught you that has helped you significantly in life? And then give me something that tactical training has taught you as well.
Man, boxing is just
could be the same thing too for both.
I don't know. There's a lot of ebb and flow. I have a love-hate relationship with boxing now. You know, I haven't been doing it for 40 years, but I've been doing it for 16 years straight. And there was a time where I was absolutely fucking obsessed, and I was up till 2 a.m. There's probably some people in here that can be like, oh, that's where I'm at right now. I'm like obsessed. I was on 2 a.m. watching YouTube. I remember I was watching YouTubes, and Leanna, we had an apartment at the time. This was like 2010, 11. She's like, what are you doing? I'm just watching these videos. I want to learn, which grew into an obsession, and an obsession that grew into a business, and a business that grew into, you know, has been able to provide a lot of things that we have today. And not just the material, but who I am today and my family and things like that. There's an ebb and flow to boxing, which is very similar to life. So my boxing goes like this. I'm all into it. Then I'm kind of out. And I say when I'm out of it, I'm still hitting the bag 3 days a week, right? That's like me out of it. But when I'm in, it's 6-7 days a week. I'm running 6-7 days a week, and you're just engulfed in it. I'm watching more fights, but things have changed for me. The kids, the wife, the responsibility. So I don't have that much time to watch all the boxing fights like I used to. And then my interest went into, tactical training and things like that too, as well. So how I relate boxing to life is that, man, there's always one more round. You got one more round in you. All right, I got one more round in me. So I don't want to say I always tell myself that, but from time to time when shit gets tough, like, man, you got one more round, bro. Just one more and you're done. Just one more, Dre, and you're done.
Oh my gosh! And if anybody's had like boxing analogies as you, I remember at your wedding, and you gave your vows and everything. You got us all choked up. You're talking about, I'll go down swinging for this. Man. And it's taught you so much, and again, it plays such a big role in your life now, and I don't think you could ever get away with it. It has its highs and its lows, and you'll be obsessed with it more one day, and then you kind of get over it another day and get burnt out from it. But it's always going to be there now. Like, and that goes to show for anyone that gets into boxing, like, regardless how much you get into it at first and then come off of it, it'll always be there. Those habits will be stuck with you. Those lessons will be stuck with you some way, somehow.
I like how you said, part of my wedding vows was that, and that's really, I didn't forget about that part, but how it relates to life. I said something about like taking a knee and things like that. And you can take a knee in life. You get an 8 count. You got 10 seconds, man. So you got some time to get back up and stay in the fight. Just because you get dropped, you've heard Rocky say that stuff. It's get back up. It's how hard you hit back when you get back up. It's like, yeah, and you can take that knee because you got hit with a body shot. So it's all good. The ref's gonna count. You got some time. So that's
a good one right there, bro. Like it's all right to get dropped. It's all right to take a knee. Yeah. Man, I've been dropped plenty of times sparring in actual fights. I've been TKO'd in a fight. Like, I still keep doing this.
Yeah, man.
And it's shaped my life in so many positive ways and yours as well. So to the listeners out there, like when you do include boxing in your life, it'll always stick with you, and it'll teach you that it's okay to fucking get knocked down and
hell
fall.
Yeah, it's all good. You just, like my dad said and my mom said, you just can't quit. Just don't quit, man. Don't quit. Whatever you do, just don't quit. If you don't quit, I'm gonna sound like Gary Vee, but I'm telling you right, if you do not quit, you will fucking win. I promise.
Oh my God.
You just can't quit. You just can't quit. I know you want to, but don't fucking do it. It'll happen. It'll happen.
And how sad it is, people quit before they even start. That's the worst.
People quit in their head, man.
Yeah. I mean, we've had friends, or they were our friends, and then we ventured off to try to go, start a business or move across the country and do our own thing. And they quit on themselves by trying to take us down, and
I ain't got time
not
for
support us. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's like you could quit before you even start, and that's that. Like, just don't ever.
Well, guys like you and I, it's like who have pursued sort of the entrepreneurial career, entrepreneurial path. It's hard. I read a quote the other day, and it said, "An entrepreneur with bad habits will soon become an employee.
Oh,
an employee
facts.
With incredible habits will soon be an entrepreneur."
I mean, ain't that the truth right there, bro?
I was an employee, which is all good.
Yeah.
You were an employee at once. It's okay if you are an employee, right? That's all good. Not everybody wants to own a business. I have friends that are like, Trey, I want none of the hassles that you deal with. Got it. Respect it. Totally.
Yeah.
But if you're an entrepreneur and you got shit habits and you're wondering why you're back working at TGI Fridays, you know why.
Yeah.
Your business model wasn't whack. You just didn't want to, you weren't trying to get sick. You weren't trying to be in the hospital like me.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't trying to lose weight. You weren't trying to put it on the line,
They didn't want to come up from the 8 count. They're like,
no, whatever.
At least I showed up. I'm good now.
I'll go back to my mom's house, my dad's house. It's all good.
Wow. What a great conversation, bro.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
This is good.
No, thank you for sharing. And there'll be plenty more episodes where we keep going through life and we bring you back and we keep sharing and different topics now. I kind of look at the first episodes of everybody as the audience in the community. Just, you get to know them. Right. Now we get to all follow each other and constantly come back to these conversations and sharing more and more stories. How do people follow you on the regular? Social media?
Yeah, social media. You can follow me at Hitman Huseman. And that's really it. And then in January, I'm going to be starting a little podcast, YouTube. We get it going. So that's going to be
bumping up your own content. So make sure you guys follow his stuff now. That way later down the line, when he starts putting out more content, it'll be right there. And if you want to train with you, bro, BOXHAUS in Newport Beach, right?
That's it. BOXHAUS Newport Beach. I mean, man, even if it ain't me, you just want to come take a class, you want to work with one of my coaches, the more the merrier. We love to have anybody. Just say Jeremiah sent you, and we'll charge you double.
Triple. You just send me the invoice.
Yeah, that's it. Don't get us going. Well, I appreciate you having me on, man. I got tons of love for you, and I'm excited for what you got going on. This podcast, I mean, this is incredible, man. I'm
it's
honored
fun,
to be
man.
on
It's fun. It's cool because everyone has a story that I've met through the boxing world, and we're all unique in our own individual ways, but we all have similarities. There'll be other parents listening to this, that have gone through similar ways. There'll be entrepreneurs listening to this that are going through it right now, and like, man, I just got to stay in there and get up off the knee, off of that 8 count, and keep trucking past this challenge and everything. There'll be people out there who want to become entrepreneurs. There'll be people out there working at the old gyms that we talked about and want to branch out and do something more for them. So that's why we share the stories we do now. Ladies and gentlemen, Andre Huseman from Section 8 Housing to business owner in Newport Beach. Amazing father, man. I look up to you as a dad, and I call you and ask you all the time for advice on how to raise these damn gremlins. They be draining the shit out of my energy.
Oh, I got no more time.
And even the tactical training, man. And I'm slowly getting into it now.
More of that.
Falling in love with it too. And thank you for sharing, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys take care. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you.
Appreciate it.